Hey everyone, welcome back. Today is a full review. Pisara from Dusita Paris very kindly sent me a little 10ml sample bottle of the new release, which is called Rosarine, and I've been wearing it and writing notes to do a review. So here we go. This is my full review of Rosarine. Again, this is the latest release from Dusita. What I get from this, as you might expect from the notes, it does feature rose. The opening is quite lovely. I get a little bit of fruitiness. There's different fruits in here. Raspberry and lychee are listed on the notes, and I think you genuinely get a little bit of both. It's kind of this juicy, fruity, kind of tasty quality in the opening. Again, kind of a juicy, fruity kind of note. Maybe a little bit more along the raspberry kind of tone. And yeah, I'll read you the official note list first, and then we'll kind of go in kind of what I get from it personally. So the notes for this are cinnamon, raspberry and lychee with Bulgarian rose and bergamot, May rose, orris butter, jasmine sambac, amyris wood, incense, ambrette and coriander, patchouli, vetiver, sandalwood, vanilla, cocoa and benzoin. On my skin, it is quite kind of musky enveloping. I get a kind of a musky kind of cocoon, again that kind of fruity kind of top note. The spice on my skin is subtle. I don't get a huge amount of spice from the cinnamon. That's, like I say, more subtle. Maybe even a little bit more of the sweetness of cinnamon rather than more of a spicy warm kind of feeling. But to me, that's very subtle or nuanced. And yeah, you get this kind of, I would say, mixed floral accord. It's not just rose. There's, like I say, jasmine in the notes in this as well. It's kind of soft, like soft petals that are maybe kind of a mixture of red and pink. It's kind of a little bit feminine, a little bit soft, a little bit delicate. In my notes, I wrote that there was something akin to like suede leather, almost a leathery quality to it, or suede-like. Maybe in terms of the texture, my mind goes to suede, as in, it's not quite smooth leather, but that suede where you get the grain or the texture of the suede. You get this kind of almost a suede-like feeling in the background of this one. Or at least on my skin, even though leather or suede or whatever is not listed in the notes, kind of has an effect that comes off that way to me. I think the combination of the orris butter and the ambrette in this give it this, like I say, musky kind of quality of, in my notes I wrote almost like cotton wool cloud. If you can imagine kind of a very soft, fluffy cotton wool cloud. That's kind of the feeling that I get from these notes, where it's giving it this kind of very soft, like I say, musky cocoon of cloud-like kind of feeling that's very soft. As it dries down, that kind of rose accord comes off a little bit creamier on my skin, almost like a rose lotion or a rose moisturizer. Although different to something like Lyric Man by Amouage, which also has a kind of a rose lotion kind of vibe, or rose moisturizer or something along those lines. This is very different, although this also kind of has a lotiony vibe as it starts to dry down. But the rose note or rose accord is actually quite different to the Amouage. There's something in this one that does remind me just a little bit of Splendiris, which was a previous release by Dusita, which had kind of irisy, kind of violet, kind of slightly soapy, musky kind of accord. The parts or elements of this do remind me of Splendiris. I would say definitely has a kind of Dusita DNA, and if you're familiar with a lot of Dusita, you will feel that this definitely fits into her style and her blending. You can pick that out immediately, that this smells like a Dusita, basically. After about 2 hours on the skin, maybe it just hints of the woods and the incense kind of notes coming through a little bit more than the mid, which kind of is more of this kind of fluffy, soft, cloud-like floral combination. Then you get maybe hints of, like I say, hints of, it's not potent in the dry down in terms of incense and woods, but you get subtle kind of nuances that kind of lean that way. And really, at that point, it kind of mellows out on my skin and doesn't change too much. It kind of just softens. So as it dries down, you're getting this kind of cloudy, rosy, orangey, kind of cloud-like musky feeling, drying down with a little bit more of the woods, maybe a hint of a kind of an incensey accord coming through. And it kind of mellows out into the dry down and just becomes ever so slightly a little bit more earthier in the dry down. Patchouli vetiver is listed. I think these just help give it kind of a, like I say, slightly earthy quality in the dry down. But again, not overly strong or dominant. It's more subtle, it's more mellow. It's balanced still with the accord from the mid of the fragrance. But yeah, you get a little hint of an earthiness as it dries down that never really goes too masculine on me. If anything, I would say if some men are funny about florals, but to me it is unisex, easily unisex. But for some men, I would say it's just a little bit on the feminine side, just of the way that the floral comes across in slightly powdery, cloudy, kind of musky, you know, kind of soft. It might come across just a little bit more feminine for some guys, but in general I would say it is unisex. And that's the best way I can describe this one. A nice juicy fruity opening going into a cloudy kind of floral combination with just a little bit of the woods and a slightly earthy kind of dry down. Very nice, and again hints of it remind me of the other Dusita fragrances, so that DNA kind of runs through here. Kind of, I would say, modest projection in sillage. It gives you a kind of a more intimate bubble, but it doesn't knock you out. It's not overpowering, it's not too sweet, so it doesn't kind of, it's not too much for you, if that makes sense. In terms of longevity for this one, a good solid 7 hours plus, I would say, before you might want to consider reapplying. 7 hours longevity is most of the working day. That's the full review of Rosarine by Dusita. If you tried it, let me know in the comments, or let other people know in the comments about your experiences with it, how you like it, kind of what you get from it, if you know, can relate to my take on it. It's handy for other people that are contemplating maybe buying a bottle or a sample. I think it's useful. So thank you everyone for watching. If you'd like to win this, I will give it away to someone in the UK. If you're in the UK and you would like this 10ml, just drop me a comment and I will post it you for free. So yeah, take care everyone. I'll see you soon with another video. Be blessed. Bye.